Janet Gorald here from World Without Wine, and this morning I'm going to talk to you about the Fckit Bucket. More politely, I could say I'm going to talk to you about how to avoid the early pitfalls of sobriety. Now, this is particularly relevant for our sober springers. We have our first group of sober springers already on day 19, so well done, guys. You're really doing very well indeed. And we have our second group who start off on Monday. So if you're interested in our Sober Spring Challenge, then I'll put the link on here afterwards. And we start on Monday, and it's 66 alcohol-free days supported with audio, online and community. So let's get back to our Fckit Bucket. Oh goody, there's some people here. I was beginning to think I was talking to myself. Let's just have a quick look. Oh, it's Gigi from Scotland and Lynette. Yes, Lynette. Those of you that are very observant may realise that it was actually Lynette's turn to do Facebook Live this morning because we alternate. So anyway, she's out of town, worried about her connection, so I'm stepping in for her this morning, and then she'll be doing the next 2 weeks, won't you, Lynette? That was our deal. So where are we? Yeah, let's get back to our Fckit Buckets. Oh, Sandy, hi Sandy. Fckit Bucket. Why do we call it the Fckit Bucket? Well, because you know how it goes. You start off on this journey, you know it's the right thing to do, you know you've got to change your drinking, and it all goes very well for the first few weeks. And then you start getting just a little bit bored with it all. Your friends are saying, oh goodness, you're no fun anymore, and you're feeling a bit anxious, you've got a lot of time on your hands because you're not drinking. So gradually you get more and more fed up, you feel anxious, and in fact you're not really reaping any benefits of sobriety yet, because you don't in the early days. You have to hang in there a bit. So what happens? You end up saying to yourself, oh fuck it, I'm going to have a drink, and you do. So that's why we call it the Fckit Bucket. It's a very common phenomenon, and the way to avoid falling into that bucket is to be aware. Be aware of the pitfalls of sobriety, and that's what this morning is about. Now, the alcohol lifestyle is awesome. I can tell you that because I'm in my 6th year of sobriety. But what isn't so awesome is that transition, going from being a drinker to a non-drinker. It's really tough. And we've helped hundreds of people to do just that at World Without Wine. And we've got a kind of viewpoint now that for most people it seems to take about 6 months, and it's quite a tough 6 months. So be prepared, but it is so worth hanging in there just to get through the other side. Now, one of our members, I think it was Janice from the Netherlands, but I could be wrong. If it was you, then do correct me in the comments. But she came up with the most fantastic analogy the other day that I really like. She said that when she set off on her journey to become sober, she saw it really as a bit of a walk in the countryside. So she prepared for it by putting on a pretty summer dress and sandals, and she set off feeling good, and indeed she got about halfway there, and then suddenly she looked down at her feet and they were bleeding and full of blisters. Her dress was torn, she was exhausted, so she gave up. And she realised that she'd given up because she wasn't prepared for the journey. She should have dressed completely differently, in trousers, a warm jacket and hiking boots. And if she had been dressed like that, she might well have finished the course. So what I'm trying to do this morning is to give you some metaphorical hiking boots so that you have a much better chance of finishing off those 66 alcohol-free days. So what I've prepared for you is 7 common pitfalls, and I'm going to take you through each one. So, I'll have another quick look at the comments again. So, Verlaine, oh hi, you're one of our sober springers, Verlaine, welcome. Di, hello Di and Natalie, hi guys, good to know there's somebody there. So let's start with 7 things you should know about early sobriety. Number 1, Not drinking hurts, and it does hurt in the early days. You're craving alcohol. Your sleep's all over the place. You feel anxious. In fact, you feel a bit like you're hanging off a cliff by the fingernails. That's why at AA they call this stage white knuckling. And why it feels so difficult is that you're still relying on willpower. You haven't really changed your thinking around alcohol. You're still racked by limiting beliefs, as we call them. So it's a tough time, but you need to stick out those early months and then everything will change. But it is tough. So here's some pitfall number 2, what you should be aware of. Not drinking is rather boring at first. Because when we stop drinking, we've got time on our hands. I always used to say that I had no hobbies because my hobby was socialising. And that all sounded very nice, but in fact what I meant was I spend all my time drinking with my friends. So when you're not drinking with your friends, you might find yourself sitting around wondering what to do. But of course what you have to do is reconfigure your life. You have to find something constructive to do. And reading Quitlit is a great fallback. Certainly if you're struggling with your sleep. I remember I used to go through reading all the Quitlit books. I'd still be reading at 3 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep. You can do some research into the harm that alcohol does to your body and your brain. Just get on the internet and I promise you it'll put you right off. You might want to do a basic course in neuroscience. So I was saying to someone on our WhatsApp group this morning, it was Matt. Hello, Matt. I was saying check out the Udemy course on neuroscience, because what we're doing with Sober Spring is that we are building a new neural pathway. And I think the more that we understand about how that works from a neuroscientific point of view, then the more likely we are to stick to it. Find a new hobby. Go to meetup.com and you'll be amazed at the lists of things that people do. Some of them quite bizarre. And if all else fails, there's always Netflix, isn't there? You know, it's binging on Netflix has got to be better than binging on ethanol, you know? Number 3. Now, some of you might like this, but pitfall number 3 is that you will need sugar and carbs. You'll be missing the sugar in the wine and you'll have an urge for the sweet stuff. Now, if you try and deny these urges, then you might be more triggered to drink alcohol. Your craving for alcohol might get stronger. So my advice is just focus on one thing at a time. What is it that Lucy says? She says you can't chase lots of rabbits at the same time. Just chase one rabbit and you might catch that rabbit. So if you have a craving for carbs and sugar, then just eat the stuff. You know, think of it as a vital part of your recovery kit for now. Of course, you can't go on like that indefinitely if you are a person that puts on weight. So keep an eye on it, and then you can tackle the weight once you've ditched the drink. Number 4, you'll feel grief. When we stop drinking, for some of us, it's as if we've lost our best friend. If any of you listened to my Facebook Live last week, you might remember that I explained how when we've been drinking for more than 20 years, our body gives up creating dopamine, which means that the only thing that interests us and gives us pleasure is drinking alcohol. So if you've got to that stage and then you stop drinking alcohol, you'll feel like there's no pleasure left in your life. You've lost your best friend, you're grieving for that friend. That's why we have our goodbye to alcohol letters, because it's quite a cathartic and powerful thing to do, to sit down and write a letter saying goodbye to alcohol. If you want to check out our letters, then they're all on a website called goodbyetoletters.com. So you may be familiar with that curve of change. If you have a bereavement or a divorce or even move house or get a new job, you'll go through different stages. I think there's 7 different stages. Things like denial, depression, acceptance, etc. Now, one of the stages is bargaining, and that's pretty much the most dangerous stage, because when you get to the bargaining stage and you're a few weeks in, you'll say, well, I haven't had a drink for 3 weeks, so I'm obviously not an alcoholic, so I think I can probably drink normally again. We've proved we don't have a problem, and also the memories of just how bad it was are fading. And our friends are all saying, oh, you weren't so bad, come on, have a drink. And then we think we can have just one drink, and then there it all goes pear-shaped again. So be aware that you'll feel grief. And that brings me to number 5, which is also a bit gloomy, but number 5 is you'll feel sad, because your pink cloud will fade away and all sorts of feelings will come to the surface. Because if, of course, we've been numbing our feelings for years, then suddenly they'll all be there again, and we're not quite sure how to deal with them. We might feel regret, shame, resentment, guilt, but don't worry, because it's just the brain recalibrating itself. This is so common, it's even got a kind of medical name for it. It's called PAWS, which stands for post-acute withdrawal symptoms, and you can read all about that on the internet. And these feelings will come and they'll go, they'll come in waves, but gradually they'll fade away. So try not to let them upset you too much, and use your journal to process them. Just write down what you're feeling. Pitfall number 6 is you'll be triggered by HALT. That's likely to send you straight into the Fckit bucket. The HALTs, you probably know this already. If you don't, HALT stands for hunger, anger, loneliness and tiredness. So all of those things will make you crave for a drink. So instead of getting a drink to deal with them, just deal with them in a more logical way. If you're hungry, then eat something. Go to your recovery kit of carbs and sugar. If you're angry, then talk to the person that you're angry with, or at the very least, write it down in your journal. If you're lonely, then hop on to one of our WhatsApp groups and talk to us. There's always people there. We tend to go on till midnight and start at about 6 a.m, I've noticed these days. So watch out for HALT. And number 7, the last one, the last pitfall, is you should know that shit will still happen. Just because you're sober, your life doesn't automatically become a fairy tale, sadly, but that's true. Life is still full of ups and downs, breakups, job losses, illnesses, even global pandemics. They'll all be there whether you're sober or not. But one thing is for sure, it is much easier to deal with shit if you've got a clear head. So let me summarise. I've got our 7 pitfalls here. Not drinking hurts. Not drinking is boring at first. You'll need sugar and carbs. You'll feel grief, you'll feel sad. You'll be triggered by halts, and shit will still happen. So look out for those pitfalls. See them as your hiking boots. Be patient, stay strong, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Power through, and you will discover for yourself the awesomeness of alcohol-free living. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to look at your comments in a minute. And Sober Spring starts on Monday, so we'd love some more people to join us. We're already about 50 people getting ready for that exciting start date. So see you all on Monday. So excuse me while I look at the comments. Okay, is that Mapumi, or is it another person, Matsumunwaini? Excuse me for the pronunciation, but hi there. Catherine, hello Catherine, I think you've joined our Sober Spring Challenge. Lynette is thanking me for stepping into the breach. Well, you're doing it twice in a row now, Lynette. I'm going to have a little holiday. Julian, hello Julian. I don't think I know Julian. I hope you're going to sign up for our Sober Spring that starts on Monday, then we'll get to know you a bit. Oh, Lynette, I'm looking awesome. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love that metaphorical hiking boots as well. Does anyone remember who it was? I think it was Janice. Yes. Matt, hello, Matt. Yeah, check out that neuroscience course and then you can do a Facebook Live on neuroscience. I think we should all learn more about that. Sandy, oh Sandy, I know you have your sugar cravings, Sandy, but you know, I would say just go for it. I mean, I know we all worry about our weight and everything, but we can't win on all fronts at the same time. One addiction at a time, please, guys. Lynette, journaling, so powerful, yeah. Yeah, when you felt down and listless. Yeah, recalibrating and healing. It's true. I mean, I went through quite a few months of feeling very low. But you know, you just have to sit there, get through it, and it'll pass, and it's like a new life opens up on the other side. We have to learn to own our shit. Very elegantly phrased, Lynette. Goes well with me and my Fckit Bucket. Nicola, Claire Townsend. Hi, Nicola. Name looks vaguely familiar. Are you a sober springer, perhaps? Oh, Gigi, I'm glad you liked it. You must get some more Scottish people joining our challenge. Di says it makes sense. Claire, joining us on Monday. Fantastic. Verlaine found it useful. Hey, there's Monica. Hi, Monica. Thanks for all the great work you're doing on Facebook Live. And I gather you're going to put us on YouTube next. I can't wait. So you don't get as angry as often. Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's quite enough from me this morning. I hope you've heard the podcast. Try to catch it later. It came out 10 a.m. this morning. And it was me doing a solo one. I can't actually remember what I was talking about now, but I hope it was interesting. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of you at the Zoom cafe at 2:30 this afternoon. So all the Sober Springers are invited, all members obviously. So Matt, I think you should show up, and anyone else doing Sober Spring, please come and show your face. Okay, have an awesome day, guys. Bye.